Hi, I'm Nanette Garrett, and I've asked my cute Aunt Raili to tell some of her stories about her life and in the past, and we're excited for her to tell these things for her posterity and for all of us to enjoy. She's been a really great aunt. She's just always been thoughtful and she's just a great person. Everybody loves Aunt Raili. So I'll turn the time over to her.
My name is Raili Irma Anneli Lindroos Lehoniemi Garrett. When I was born, we had a Swedish name, Lindroos. And then my father decided that since we were Finns, we'd like to have a Finnish name. So we changed it to Lehoniemi. My parents are Toivo Lindroos Lehoniemi and Lempi Raakel Salo Lehoniemi. I have one brother, Pauli Rainer Lehoniemi, two sisters, Raija Raakel Anelma Lehoniemi Salminen, and Riitta Liisa Marietta Lehoniemi Putkonen. I was born in Finland. Finland is a small country, about 5 million people. Winters are really hard, cold, long, dark. Summers are beautiful. 75% of the country is covered by forest, and there are 100,000 lakes. My definition of Finland is this. God created the Garden of Eden. He was so pleased with it that he decided to create another one, and he called it Finland. The language is very unique, beautiful, and very extremely difficult. Finland's neighbors are Sweden and Russia. Finland was under Swedish rule for 500 years, under Russian rule for 100 years, and it became an independent country 1917. Finnish people are fiercely independent. They have fought hard for their freedom. There have been several wars against Russia, 2 in my lifetime when I lived in Finland. But Finland stayed free, and Elder Benson said that Finland has to stay free because one day the gospel will go from Finland to Russia. It was unbelievable. I wondered if people thought, you call yourself a prophet? But it happened. I was fortunate to have more schooling than many Finnish children. And one advantage I had was that I was able to learn some English. After finishing school, I worked in a newspaper office. And one day, winter day 1948, 3 young men came to the office. I could tell right away that they were not Finnish people. And the language they spoke, I had no idea what it was because I had learned King's English in school, and they spoke Utah English. They wanted to put an ad in the paper about the first meeting in my hometown. I was able to understand enough that I was able to help them with their ad. And I was interested in their meeting and in them, and so I went to this first meeting. And after 75 years later, I am still going. I found a spiritual home with a little group of people that were investigating the gospel. I was active in the church for over 2 years before I was able to be baptized because my parents did not want me to be baptized. I had to wait until I was 21 years old, and I didn't need my parents' permission. Soon after joining the church, I was called on the home mission. It's like a stake mission, but they didn't have any stakes in Finland. And after I finished that, I was called on the full-time mission, 2-year full-time mission. My friend Lea Mahoney and I were the first full-time Finnish sister missionaries. Served for 2 years. While I was on the mission, I was called to be a primary supervisor. They were organizing the primary in Finland. I was called to be the primary supervisor, and so I spent part of my mission just doing primary work, translating all the activities and songs and lessons in Finnish because we didn't have any Finnish materials. When I was still at home, a new elder came to my hometown, Elder Mark Garrett. Our district leader, what we are zone leader now, told me that a new elder was coming, and I wanted to know about this elder, and I said, how is he? And Elder Ferguson said, well, he's tall, he's smart, and he's been to Korea. So that's all I knew about him when he came. I helped him with his talks. I translated his talks when he didn't know any Finnish. And then when he learned some Finnish, he could write his own talks. I translated, or I corrected them and typed them for him. And he was also my counselor when I was the mutual president. Interesting combination, female president and male counselor, but things were different then. By the time Elder Garrett left Finland, I was totally in love with him. But we were both missionaries, so we could, but we didn't do anything about it. I didn't tell him. I was working in a city that he left from to come home. So my companion and I had him and his traveling companion for lunch before they left. And then we went to the harbor. And my heart was so full of love. And in the harbor we shook hands and he said, goodbye, sister, and thank you for everything. That didn't give me any hope. I was thinking of those thousands of girls at BYU who were waiting for return missionaries. And there I was in Finland, and so there was nothing I could do, so I decided that I'm going to give this whole thing my Father's keeping, my Heavenly Father's keeping, and then whatever happens will be good. After 4 months, I received a letter from Elder Garrett. And the heavens were opened for me. But that was not really simple either, because he had written that letter 3 o'clock in the morning after the all-day deer hunting Saturday. And I thought, any man who writes a letter 3 o'clock in the morning after being hunting deer all Saturday cannot be held responsible for his word. And I didn't believe him. In 2 days, I got another letter, and he told me the same things and some more. And he told me that when he was in Finland, he loved me as a friend, but he loved me in another way too, but didn't feel like it was right for him to say anything to me about it. But he had told my companion, but she never told me either.
Wow. So the first time he wrote to you, what did he say? Can you?
He said he loved me as a friend in Finland because I was very helpful. He was 8 months in my hometown, so we had time to become friends. And we talked a lot. And he had been 4 years in the service, had seen all the war things and everything in Korea. He needed some help. So we talked a lot, and he felt like I was helping him.
So after that first letter, was it the second letter that he wrote to you at 3 o'clock in the morning?
No, the first one.
Oh.
The first one. That's why I didn't believe him. I thought he was so tired he didn't know what he was doing. But I guess he knew.
And so the second letter, it's almost like he told you did he tell you he wanted to marry you, or that he was in love with you?
Well, even in the first letter he said that the attributes that I had, he wanted in his wife.
Wow.
So that was the little proposal, I guess. And then in the second letter he thought a little more and said a little more, and so I still had about 5 months of my mission left. So I finished my mission. I finished my mission at the end of January 1956, and then left in March and came to Canada, and we got married in 1956, 28th of March 1956 in the Garston Temple. And it was the beginning of a very happy marriage. The first 4 years we spent in Provo. He was going to BYU. We had a nice little apartment there, $25 a month. And we are the only married Finnish missionary couple. But there were some Finnish missionaries and some girls going to school, so our home was kind of a center place. They did their courting in our house, and we had good times. Then after 4 years in school, 1960 we moved to Salt Lake City. And Mark was a school teacher by then, and he got his first job in Kearns Junior High School. Taught there a little while and then moved to Kearns High School. And the principal of the Kearns High School was called to be the president, the principal of the new Cottonwood High School that opened. And he left to go there, and so Mark liked Dr. Wahlquist so well that he decided to go with him, and so he went to Cottonwood High School and finished his 30-year career in Cottonwood High School. All this time we were hoping to have some children, but we didn't, and so after 6 years we got our little Christmas angel, Bruce Ray. He was born on the 6th of December 1961. And he was supposed to be born on the 7th of December, which is a Pearl Harbor Day, and not a very happy day, but he was born a day earlier, and that was a proper day for him to be born because that's the Independence Day of Finland. Our life was busy with church and activities and school in Salt Lake City, and then for the years we served 3 more missions. We served the leadership mission in South Salt Lake City and 3-year mission in the Utah State Women's Prison. And then we crowned our missionary labors by serving 1.5 years in Finland. And I had lots of callings during those years. I was a secretary to 4 bishops. And I was the editor of ward paper in 2 wards and in the genealogy department in our state, and then in 2 branches in Finland also. We both found lots of joy in serving the Lord, Mark and I both did. And we had a mission statement, and it was, "Choose you this day whom ye will serve, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." Bruce has done the same. He has always been active in the church, and his biggest work in church was he was a bishop in California for 8 years. And Bruce's wife, Elizabeth, is a pianist and piano teacher and a school teacher, and so she has been an organist in the church for many, many years, and is at the present time too. Bruce served his mission in...
Oh, can I ask a question? So did you say he was bishop for 8 years?
Yes.
So was he bishop twice?
No.
All in the same ward, just 8 consecutive years. That's amazing.
I kept telling him, you are doing such a good job, they don't want to get rid of you. Yeah,
That's amazing.
8 years. 8 years. And Bruce served his mission in Japan. And his Adam served his mission in Canada. And Bruce also has 2 daughters, Elora and Allison. They are both married. And Adam is getting married in May this year. Mark got his mission call to heaven in 2002. And I am now living at Highland Cove Retirement Community in Salt Lake City. And my present callings in church are Relief Society Assistant Secretary and teacher. And my responsibility as secretary is to write a monthly newsletter, and at the end of each year I write our history, the year's history, Relief Society history. On my next birthday I will be 94 years old. I love my Heavenly Father and my Savior, and I am thankful for the gospel. It fills my daily life with peace and joy and hope.
Do you think you could expand a little bit more on and tell us, we went from Mark sending you that first letter and then the second letter. Can you tell us a little bit more about how, that went with him asking you to marry him and all of that? Because you were on your mission for 4 months after that.
Amen.
But were you continually writing? How did you respond to him when he told you that he was in love with you?
Well, when Mark left Finland, he wrote me some postcards from Europe because he traveled 6 weeks in Europe. And the first letter he wrote from Garmisch, Germany. And he started, Dear Raili. And then he started his letter by saying, for 2.5 years I was obedient, meaning that he always called me Sister Lehoniemi. But now I think it is all right, or is it, to call me by my first name? And so...
It is all right to do what? Oh, to call you by your first name?
Yeah.
Oh, cute.
And so we kept writing, and he came here home and started school, and we just kept writing. And one time he wrote and he said that he felt guilty because he hasn't written to any Finnish friends, because he had lots of... Marcus really loved in Finland. He had lots of friends in Finland, and he said, I guess I need a secretary. And so I wrote back and I said, if that position is still open, I might consider it after I finish my mission. So he wrote back and he said, well, it's still open, but I have to consider some things before I hire a gal. And like I had written about money, and I said, does the does the secretary have her own room, and does she write your letters, or do you dictate them, or how is it? And then he wrote that about that gal, and so I wrote back and I said, I don't think I want that job, because I want you to call the secretary gal. You should call secretary. Aren't you supposed to call secretaries pretty young ladies or something, so that they can sit on the bus's knee? And that was the end of our missionary discussion.
So when did he ask you to marry him? Just is that how he asked you to marry him?
Well, he had asked in those letters, he said, I want you to be my wife.
Sweet.
And we had had an experience just before that. There was a man in our little branch, and I don't think either one of us were members yet, but we were investigating the gospel. And one Sunday, after the meetings, people were leaving, other people were staying because our mission president was there. And he was showing some pictures, some old pictures and old places, and we had a fireside. And I was going to stay and watch. And I was standing there talking to somebody, and this brother comes and hands me a letter. And he says, "I'm a mailman tonight, but wait till you get home to open it, till you get into your own room." And I was curious. I had two problems. I was curious and I didn't have my own room. So I opened the letter. And he said that he has never thought that marriage was a very good thing. And I think he was probably pretty close to my age. But these young boys now have made him feel like marriage is an important thing. But he said, "I have always felt like marriage is like an onion. It might taste sweet, but it makes you cry." But now these young boys have made me feel like I would like to get married. And you, Miss Lehoniemi, are the kind of woman that I would like to marry. I went into a shock. I had fun in church with the missionaries and with young people, and I had no idea about getting married. And so I think I'm going to write him a letter. If he proposes in a letter, I am going to write him a letter as an answer. And so I didn't know where he lived, but in Finland, in the biggest cities, they had an office where you could call and get anybody's address who lived in that city. So I did that. I called and got his address and typed a letter. Well, following Tuesday was Relief Society, and even those couple of men who were investigating, they came to Relief Society, and I didn't want to go because I didn't want to meet him again, but a friend of mine went, and so I gave the letter to her, and I said, "You give the letter to him, please." And then I met her after, and we went to a movie. So I went to meet her after the meeting, and she came out, and I said, "Was he there?" "No." I said, "Well, where is my letter?" And she forgot it. She put it in the hymn book and forgot it. And so we had little hymn books about this, 20 pages, just the words, no music. And Sunday came, and I asked Elder Beck, who was our presiding elder there, or the senior companion, and I said, "By any chance did you find a letter?" And he said, "Yes. And I'm sorry I read it, and I'm sorry I understood it." So I got my letter back. By that time it was kind of used letter, and so I typed another one, and then I had the address, and I mailed it to him. And then the following Sunday, I was there standing again talking with somebody, and somebody touched my hand, and it was this brother, and he said, "I suggest we return back to normal." And then I said, "I will never marry a man who proposes in a letter. If he is not brave enough to propose to me face to face, he has no hope." And then when Mark's letter came, it changed my whole life.
Mm-hmm. So Mark proposed in a letter too, right? But he couldn't. He was far away.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was all right.
That was okay.
Yeah, that was okay.
Because he would have proposed in person if he could.
Yes.
Right.
But I'm glad he didn't when he was a missionary.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your conversion? Just a little bit more details about that?
Well, I went to that first meeting, and those elders just murdered the Finnish language. But the spirit was so strong there. It was so strong, and they sang, Israel, Israel, God is calling. And that song touched me, and it still touches when we sing it now. It still touches me because it brings those memories. And I just kept going, and I remember the first time they asked me to talk in Sunday school, and I was not even a member, and I was scared to death, but I talked, and then I asked my mother. I said, what do you think if I become a Mormon? My mother said that it's foolishness, and she kind of went back and she said, but then if you really want, that it was kind of left that way. My father was working out of town and didn't come home maybe once every 2 weeks or so. And so when he came home, I asked him, and no, you can't do that. So then I had to wait until I was 21 years old. And I just kept going to church and got friends, and we had a very small group. I was number 7 member when I was baptized. Then this one family that were so nice, they had a summer place by the lake, and I was baptized in that lake. And my baptism day was the loneliest day of my life because I knew what my parents and my relatives thought about that, but I felt so strong myself that I needed to do it. And I felt like Joseph Smith. He said he had seen a vision. He couldn't deny it, so what could he do? I had the testimony, so what could I do? I was baptized. And it was a happy day, but a lonely day, and has been happy ever since. I am so grateful that I did it. And I had some trials after because people's opinions and everything, but my sister was going to the same school that I had gone, and the teachers were just beside themselves knowing that's what I had done. But it was meant for me, I'm sure. And when I got my patriarchal blessing after I came here, the patriarch said that my life was saved until this time when the gospel was upon the earth, that I was meant to be here.
Could you tell us a little bit more background about growing up in Finland and just about your family a little bit?
I spent some time with my grandparents when I was just a little girl, and they were wonderful. Their children had all grown and gone. And, well, two brothers still lived at home, two of my uncles, but I had freedom there. And in the next building, a little ways away, lived my mother's cousin, and so my second cousin was my age, and she was my good friend. And so those were happy. And then when I was older, I spent some summers with my aunt, and I was their daughter. They didn't have any children. I was their daughter, and I was so close to them. And they loved Mark when we went there. And my uncle was a professional gardener, and Mark was a gardener and loved gardening and had bees, and my uncle had bees. But he had Russian parents. His father was a Russian army officer, and when Finland was under Russian rule, he was assigned to work in Finland. And so after he was released from his service, he didn't go back to Russia. He stayed in Finland and his family, and my aunt married his son, and he was a wonderful uncle. He was just a nice man, but he never learned Finnish really fluently. He talked about like the missionaries did. And one time when we were visiting there, he was trying to explain something to Mark, and it was kind of complicated, and he didn't know the words really clearly. And And my aunt was listening, and she was so embarrassed, and she said, don't do it, don't do it. And he said, well, let me explain this to Mark. I want to explain this to Mark. And my aunt said, well, explain what you explain, but don't say any long words. But then school years came, and I loved school. Because I was a good student, and I loved school. And those two wars happened, and when I was in school, and in my second school, often we had to go to the bomb shelter because the Russian planes came and bombed my home city. And
Which wars were they?
but
Which wars?
Finland and Russia had what they call the 100-Day War, 1939. Russia wanted parts of Finland for their security, like they did Ukraine. And Stalin thought that he would get Finland in 24 hours, but he didn't, because, like I said earlier, Finnish people are fiercely independent. And so then there were 3 million people in Finland, 3 million residents. And so they thought against Russia, but they had to make a peace treaty. But Russia took just a little bit of Finland, but Finland stayed free. And then the Second World War, during that time it started again. This war ended in 1940, and then the Second World War started. And we tried to live normal life, but life was so poor, and we didn't have much to eat, and so everything was just kind of, we tried to get by with what we have, like the leaves of raspberry bush or our tea, dried leaves, and the dandelion roots or coffee. They were scrubbed and cut in pieces and dried and roasted, and they were made. The shoes were made from paper and wood, and so it was really, but we stayed independent. And like I said, Elder Benson later, after the war, when he went to Finland, he said that Finland had to stay free because one day the gospel would go from Finland to Russia, and it did. The first missionaries went to Russia from Finland, and first people from Russia came to Finland to be baptized, and they were so poor. And stories still told about one man that when he was baptized, his shoes were so terrible that he was ashamed to think that he was converted in those shoes, and so he borrowed the shoes of Finnish stake president when he was confirmed. And so Finland and the Russian missionaries had to renew their visas all the time, so they came to Finland to do that because we were next door neighbor, and they felt like they came to heaven when they came to Finland.
Wow. So did you feel like you were struggling with money all the time you were growing up, or just during the war?
All the time, all the time.
Can you tell us some details about
that? We did
that?
better during the wartime because my father was in war and the government gave us salary every month. We had more money then.
During the war?
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about the struggle, and besides, the shoes and what you've just told us, but anything else about the struggles of growing up there?
Well, it was just one big struggle. Had to really think where the money went and what little money we had, and so.
What did you eat on a regular basis?
We eat lots of potatoes in Finland. That's one of the basic foods. And rye bread and fish. 100,000 lakes, so we had fish. Buttermilk. Bruce never learned to drink buttermilk or eat cottage cheese or yogurt or anything. And when I talked to him about it, he said, "Mother, I do not like thickened milk products."
Tell me a little bit about your family growing up, your brothers and sisters, and what you did.
Well, my sisters were so much younger than I. One sister was 8 years younger, the other sister was 15 years younger, so we are not really playmates together. And my brother, he was 2 years younger, but he had his own friends and I had my own friends. And so we didn't really have that kind of relationship.
And they're still, are any of them alive still?
One brother, my brother is alive and the youngest sister is alive.
Okay. And what are their names?
Raili is the brother and Rita is the sister.
Great. But you loved your mom. What was she like?
My mom was very serious. And she taught us with her proverbs and sayings. And I wrote an essay about that. And I said that if King Solomon and my mother ever met, they would find out they have lots in common. Some things that my mother said, like if we complained that, like young girls often do, that we are not beautiful. And my mother said that, have you ever been asked to leave any place because you were ugly? So that helped us.
So you learned.
We were to respect our elders. That was the rule. We never called our neighbors by their first name. It was always aunt and uncle, even though they were not related. And when I came here, that was so strange for me to. Children called their neighbors just their first names, and I had to go to the doctor after I came here, and the first thing they said, what do you want us to call you? And I said, well, you can call me anything you want. And they called me Raili, and I thought, well. Another thing that was strange here was that in Finland, when you go to a funeral, everybody wears black clothes. And I didn't take any black clothes on my mission when Mark and I went on a mission. And I had an uncle and aunt die. And when my aunt died, I didn't have anything black to wear, so I talked to my sister, who was a member of the church. She's dead now, but I said, do you think, I had a dark gray suit, and I said, do you think it would be all right for me to wear that? And she said, that's fine, dark gray is fine. And at that funeral, I was the only one who did not have any black clothes. So when I came here, my mother-in-law was a counselor in the Relief Society. And we had come here from Provo, and Mark had bees in Aunt Ida's property in Centerville. So Mom had to go to the funeral home to help with the flowers because somebody had died in the ward. And so we went to pick her up. And the first person who came out of that mortuary was a woman with a flaming red coat. Mm. And another one, we went to visit a missionary friend. And his wife was pregnant, and she was quite pregnant, and she was wearing shorts. And that was a shock to me. People in Finland were much more traditional and careful about what they were wearing.
I bet. So I bet several things were a shock when you came here. Can you tell us maybe about just some of your regular stuff, like when you were raising Bruce, or just some of the events maybe you'll think, yeah, just as you're raising your family. Because it's unique that Mark is a beekeeper. What are some of the other things that you like to do together, or did you enjoy raising Bruce, or did he, do you see what I mean? You spend a lot of time with the Garrett family, I know that, with Ray and Delora, and I've seen pictures where Bruce went on a trip with them, with the other kids, and just tell me some of the fun things that you might have.
Yeah, we traveled with Ray and Delora, and Bruce and Vern were friends then. But I don't know any special things to tell you.
What was Bruce like to raise?
Well, he was very intelligent, very good student. But when it was time to go to kindergarten, he didn't want to go. He went a few days and then he said he didn't want to go because he was so beyond the quality of those children intellectually and what he knew, and so he didn't want to go. So we had to figure out how to make him go to school, and we went to talk to the teacher, and she started giving him homework in kindergarten. So that inspired him to go to school.
Oh, because he was so smart that it was.
Well, Mark was not that way in school. He was helped in school a lot with Max, because Mark didn't really care for school. So, but Bruce, they got him in school. His friends got him brain.
Did they? So did he have any more trouble going to school?
Well, when he didn't want to go to school, I said, Bruce, you have to go to school all these years. That's a law. And then to college. And he said, okay, I will go to regular school, but I don't want to go to college. I want to be a garbage man or janitor or something like that. He didn't need any university training.
But he probably changed his mind by the time he got there, right?
He did. He went to school. He had a scholarship to BYU that he waited with. He could have gone a little bit before he went on a mission, but he didn't want to go. He went on a mission and then went to school after. So
nice. So tell us a little bit about Mark.
Well, Mark was very quiet. We had a quiet family. We are all quiet. Bruce is quiet too, and I am quiet. And with the Garrett family and my family put together, lots of silence. But we had lots of love in our family. Mark loved me so much. It was just, I have said many times that if there is such a thing as perfect family, ours was pretty close. Or perfect marriage, ours was pretty close. And he did lots of sweet things, just surprise things to me. And one thing, he was a high priest group leader in our state, in our warden. And so one time, one other high priest who had a summer place on the mountains invited us there. And we went there and some other high priests. And so they had some vehicle there that you could go roam in the mountainside. And so some of these men went, and Mark went with them. And these men came back, and Mark was not with them. And I said, well, what happened to Mark? Where is he? And he got off earlier before they came back, quite back, so he could pick a bouquet of wildflowers for me. That touched my heart.
That's sweet.
One time he had a chance to go Saturday and go teaching. There was some extra thing, and so he took advantage of that and went. And when he left, he said, well, I'm going to do this, so you can buy that blouse that you have been looking at.
Can you tell us any of the stories when Mark was growing up with Max, or just a little bit more about that?
No, I can't tell any about that because I don't know.
But when we heard from Max, he said that Mark was more of a cut up and Max was more serious. Is that right?
I guess so.
We heard some good stories. You'll have to listen to Uncle Mac's recording. He said that Mark tied somebody's shoelaces together and then Max got blamed for it or something.
I-
Was he kind of funny? I mean, was he kind of a cut-up?
he was a practical joker. He really was.
Tell us some of those things.
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know them.
I mean, he like later in life, was he like that?
Yeah, but then nothing major like that. But
Nothing like he'd get in trouble or anything.
Max talked at his funeral, and people later said to me that because he talked about life as it was when they were young, and so people, like award people, told me later said it was so nice because we know Mark as such a spiritual man that he really was otherwise too when he was young.
Yeah, that's us too. I just saw Mark more serious, quiet, and spiritual man.
Yeah,
But I didn't know he was a practical joker.
yeah.
Did you maintain a relationship with Max and Maxine? Did he stay close to Mark or to Max?
Well, they were in Minnesota all the time, so we didn't have any really close relationship with them that way. They came sometimes in summertime to visit, but they were in Minnesota.
So he it seems like he was close with Ray and Delora.
Yeah, he was almost like their son. Sana says that, yeah, he spent lots of time with us.
Awesome. Can you tell us anything that you, I just want to know maybe some of your feelings about Ray and Delora and what their characters were like, I mean, from your point of view.
Well, they were just so kind to us. They came to visit us in Canada, and we came back with them because Ray couldn't stay too long, and we were ready to come, so we came back with them and always helping. We did some remodeling in our home. Ray was always there, and he was always so helpful. We had a good relationship with them, and they had been so nice. Delora told me one time that she is sure that if they didn't feel and if they didn't have a relationship like they had with Mark, that he would have run away because his teenage years were not very happy. He was even thinking of becoming a long-distance truck driver. I guess being a twin was a kind of a challenge for him because Max was always so proper and so nice and so obedient and so and they were always compared, of course, because they were twins. So that had kind of an influence on Mark and so. And Max wanted to go on a mission when it was time to go on a mission, but Mark went into Air Force instead for 4 years. And then when he was in the Air Force, he said he saw the scum of the world there. So when he came home, well, while he was in the Air Force, he was an example to those other young men and said that many of them came to him and said, "Oh, I wish I could be like you, Mark. Oh, you, Garrett. And he said many times in there, wherever they were lodging, he was there alone because the other boys went to see their girlfriends in Japan and places and so on. And there was one of his friends who we had been married a while already, so it had been a long, and he had been on a mission for 2.5 years, so it had been a long time since they had been together. But he wrote a letter to Mark telling him that he had been called to be a Sunday school teacher. Not in our church, but in some church. But he wanted Mark to know that his example had helped. But when they came home, Mark was discharged in California. So he took a train home, and it was in October, and it was just before the General Conference. And so that whole car where he was coming in, the railroad car, was full of conference people coming to conference, and so he came home and he decided that he was going to the conference, and he said that when he sat there and Stephen Richards, who was a counselor in the first presidency, talked, and he said, I bet he was just looking straight at me, and he said, if any of you people, you young men, are in such a position that you can go on a mission, please consider it. And he said, I felt like I wanted to do that. So he came home in October, and in December he was in Finland. And what made me appreciate Mark so much was to think that he had been 4 years in the service, and in that sort of a time he was on a mission, that he was worthy to go on a mission. So I respected him a lot for that.
How old was he when he went on his mission then?
What?
How old was he when he finally went on his mission?
I think he was 22.
I'm sure he was much more mature than most of the
Yes,
missionaries
uh-huh.
because of what he'd been through.
I guess he was always mature because Delora said that he was mature when he left to go to Finland, and she was helping that he would relax a little bit, but he was more serious when he came back.
That's awesome.
We were about 26 years old when we got married, so that's why we never had an argument in our marriage, because we were mature, and for two other reasons were that we were so busy in the Lord's work we didn't have time to argue, but one reason too, we really felt like the Lord gave us as a gift to each other, so we didn't want to disappoint him by arguing.
You've never had an argument?
Never had an argument. Bruce, one time when he was the bishop, the bishop talked in the Mother's Day meeting, and he started his talk, and he said, well, Bishop asked me if we would like to talk. But anyway, he said that he talked about Mother, he talked about me, and he said, my father loved my mother so much, and when I was at home, I never heard them arguing. We never did. We were mature enough that we had difference of opinion. We discussed things, and we didn't have to argue.
Well, you have set a great example for all of us, Raili. That's nice. Is there anything else that you want to tell about you, or?
I don't know what else to tell. I have told a lot.
Yes.
What was the transportation like in Finland when you were growing up? You didn't have a car.
We didn't have a car.
How did you get around? You walked everywhere.
And to this day, you don't have your license, right? Raili never drove, right?
Well, I went to driver's training when I was here. There were 5 of us from our ward who went, and I learned to drive. I got 100% on the test. And one time the instructor asked, why do you want to learn how to drive? And I said, so I can go to Grand Central. That was about a few blocks from us. He said, Mrs. Garrett, you have to have a higher goal than that. And I drove 3 times.
And then
I drove one time to the store. I drove one time, took Bruce to the ward when he was going to a scout camp, and went to pick the nursery leader for Relief Society when I was the Relief Society president once. That was it. It was so foreign to me that I was just sick when I knew I had to drive. And Mark came home early from school, and having just one child, if I had a large family, I would have had to learn more and be brave. But Mark was always willing to take me, and so that was not an issue.
That's pretty sweet of him, too.
My school was in a private girls' school, and we didn't have anything mechanical, anything technical, anything. All they wanted us to grow up to be ladies. And that was the goal there. And so and during the war years there were no cars in Finland because everything was taken to the war effort. So more than do now, of course, because everything is more modern, but not then.
Yeah.
So driving was a foreign thing to me.
I think it's really sweet that Mark would just take you whenever you needed to go somewhere. That's really sweet.
Sometimes I kind of hesitated to ask him. He wondered why I felt that way because he was there to help me. Yeah.
Well, that's a perfect love story.
Let me-
You can hold it up in front of her.
A blessing for you. May you be blessed by knowing that when I count my blessings, I count you twice.
Was that given to you by Mark?
Oh no, I bought that someplace. Sergeant Garrett.
Yeah.
And then behind is his missionary picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Or to their side. Yeah.
Do you have any pictures handy of you when you were young?
That size? Same size?
No, not that size. No, just little pictures.
You have little pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any handy that we could see?
Those is,
Grandkids?
that's my family there.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, that's
Show us that one.
The bottom one is my missionary picture. The bottom of my missionary picture and in the middle is my missionary picture.
That's your missionary picture?
Yeah, both of
The
them.
bottom one.
Bottom one.
Oh, and that's when they went together on a mission.
Yeah,
And you went to Canada? Where did you say you went on your mission together?
Finland.
Oh, Finland. What? You got married in Canada? Because that's where you could come.
Mm-hmm.
How old were you in that bottom picture?
About 24.
24.
And that's Mark's missionary picture up, same one as there, or here.
They're just beautiful, Raili, and thank you for your kind words and your stories. Sorry, my phone is acting up. You both went to Finland on your mission, and you went back as a couple and went to Finland.
It was amazing because we had been home so long.
Mm-hmm.
We were there 1956 and went back 2000 something, 2002 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the second Sunday in Finland, Mark taught a priesthood lesson in Finnish.
He what?
Taught a priesthood lesson in Finnish after 40 years.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
How did he remember it?
Well, we spoke enough Finnish, I guess, that he hadn't forgotten.
You spoke Finnish in your home too. So does Bruce know Finnish?
No.
No.
Finnish is completely a useless language in the world, so I didn't teach him.
Okay.
Nobody knows Finnish except Finnish people. There's no other language similar at all. Well, in Estonia, a little bit the same, but not.
Did she digitize this whole book?
Oh no, they are more modern pictures that she has had. She doesn't have these pictures.
That one's behind. Is there?
No, it's just me.
I know, but is that bigger than that?
No.
Okay.
In a
That's beautiful.
Lutheran church, when you're about 15 years old, you take a course in religion, and then you are confirmed, and that's my confirmation picture.
Keep filming. This is your confirmation picture. Oh my goodness. Raili, that's beautiful. Oh, this is your mother, and that's her name. Okay.
And that's when I was just 1 year old right here, and there's my confirmation.
Oh,
And he's 47 in school.
wow, that's great. Those are beautiful pictures.
And these are my pictures too.
Wow.
I'm almost ready to start my mission. And then I return missionary and missionary.
Mm-hmm.
This is my brother, sister, mother, father, mother.
And do you say this on here that is your father?
Uh-huh.
Where?
Toivo Lindroos.
But people that speak English wouldn't know that. And this is your mother, Olga.
That's my grandma. Olga is my grandma right here. This is my mother, Lempi. Lempi. Lyli, Marta, Jenny, Lyli. These are all my mother's sisters. These are my sisters celebrating my mother's 80th birthday. We were serving, so I made aprons. And this is at Great Salt Lake. My sister came to visit us. And this is everybody in my family. So there's Mark and I. There's my other sister and her husband, sister-in-law and brother. And this is my father's family.
Wow.
This is my mother's family.
This is fabulous.
I don't know if they're in here. Oh, there's my
Oh, that's so
confirmation
cute.
picture.
I wish you could zoom in on that. You can't take one of these cameras and come.
Can we scan this?
That's what I'm wondering.
Here I am, baby.
This.
Grandma and grandpa.
So this is your whole life history.
Part of it. I have several books.
That's fantastic that you've done this.
Some early cards,
Wow.
war experiences. Those were hard years, those war years. They didn't have any gasoline in Finland, so they built little things on buses and where they burned wood to make the cars go.
They burnt wood?
So then that gas that came, yeah, they called it wood gas.
Oh, wow.
And this is how the shoes are made, wooden soles and then woven paper tops.
Oh, wow. Woven paper tops. That's fascinating.
That's my school teacher.
Your school teacher? Okay.
And that's me there in the first grade in school.
Oh, wow.
1937, yeah.
Wow. Well, the more details you can put in English on this, the better for for people. This is beautiful. You've done a great job.
These are some of my school buildings.
Is any of these you? Are any of these you?
Not here. These are just some friends, school friends.
Are you in any of these?
Yeah, I mean all of them.
All of them. Which one's you?
Right there.
Okay.
With my long curly hair.
Oh, cute.
I used to have naturally curly hair. Where am I here?
Is it here?
Right here.
Oh, right there. Okay. Oh, cute.
This was my best friend. This is the friend who left my letter in the songbook. Then here is a confirmation.
And this is you?
Yeah. Three
beautiful,
of
Randy.
us did. This is my hair used to be naturally curly.
Have you got these pictures to Family Search or anything?
No.
Would you like that? Would you like to?
That's me right there. And there.
That's cute. Beautiful. I can see why Mark fell in love with you. You're a beautiful girl.
He had a name for me.
What was his name for you?
Well, he always got his own, That's his own, my money, his own. But he talked about me. I was his mission souvenir.
Say it again.
Mission souvenir.
Oh, your mission souvenir. Yes.
Ex-
Was that the name? Your mission, his mission souvenir?
for
you?
me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Expensive
cute.
souvenir.
Yeah, so very expensive souvenir.